Okay, so we had a state of the game a few days ago, and they said they're not touching the difficulty of the raid. I've gone through, I've managed to take down Boomer, Weasel, Buddy and Lucy. I'm now on Razorback. This is where everything you have learnt comes into play, and it just makes it even harder. To be completely honest, I think this boss is horseshit. We have run it about 50 or 60 times, with builds we've used throughout the raid, loads of different things in our builds, we've tried different strategies. We struggled to do anything at all to this boss, so we did more grinding, went back in. We barely managed to take 25% of the health. So it's now got to the point where we figured our builds are nowhere near good enough for the final boss. They're good enough for the rest of the raid, but the final boss requires some hectic sort of builds. You need to be running like high damage to elites. It has to be focused on DPS. Survivability doesn't really come into it anymore. Skill builds are never going to work. Gear sets like True Patriot, you're not going to have a good time with any of those. In this boss fight, there are so many different fucking wipe mechanics. It starts to get on your tits, basically. So you drop out the window, you clear the ads. Everything is clear. There's no more NPCs. You can all get ready to start the boss fight. People are trying to speed run through this. People are saying, oh, let's get this one done in an hour. It's never going to work like that. The average time to take down Razorback is probably about 15 minutes or something like that. It takes a long time. It's the end of the raid. It's supposed to be the hardest boss out of all of them, and it's really kicked our asses into gear. We are constantly grinding now, trying to get our builds up there. But you drop out the window, you get yourself ready, clear all the ads, then you have people jump onto generators. The other half of the team are working on ad control. Then when all the generators are at 100%, the vents will open up. You can use a crossbow, take the vent down, chuck a nade in there, it turns green. Once both sides of Razorback are green, you then jump out your circles, you all run round and you hit these weak points. These weak points alone are no joke at all. They must have like 5 million health each one. You need to be dealing so much damage to have any effect on the weak points. And you see teams like Rush Runner, 18 minutes, 18 seconds. It's incredible how they do it. And now you've got Marco and his team doing it in 16 and a half, completely wiping Rush Runner out of it. But you just see, like, when you're watching people that have completed it and when they're doing it quick and speed running through, you'll see that they get these weak points down so fast. But then you go into it yourself, you take it like you're hitting these weak points with 6 players. You've got 2 players focusing drones and ads, the other 6 are focusing on this boss. Every single player in the group, all 6 that are focusing the boss, you're hitting these weak points, you're hitting them hard with everything you have. They go down so slow. Like, the weak points are the toughest thing. But essentially, you get the 2 weak points down, the third one opens up, that's when you start dealing damage to the boss. We will get there eventually. I'm not saying we're giving up, I'm not bitching about it. This video is purely to explain that you need to get your asses in gear. You have to have it, like, it's pretty much got to be min-maxed, and unless there's like 6 in your team that have gone min-max and the other 2 have gone survivability. Once you've taken down the first damage phase, like, even if you don't get the weak points down, the first damage phase ends, Razorback is going to launch missiles at you, as well as drones and ads, so you have to keep rolling around everywhere. Then you get the elite that goes over to the SAM turrets. He's going to launch missiles if you're not quick enough to take him down. That's another wipe. We've probably tried about 50 or 60 times overall. We've tried maybe 5 or 6 different strategies. There is still a lot for us to do, but basically from this video, what I want you guys to pick up on is they're not going to decrease the difficulty. Chances are there's not going to be matchmaking coming into the raid anytime soon, and trust me, matchmaking is going to be a struggle with this part of the raid. And not only that, Razorback is no joke at all. You literally have to be spot on, or everything you've learnt through the entire raid is just going to go to shit. In order of difficulty with these bosses, from my personal experience, Buddy and Lucy are the easiest, then it goes Weasel, then Boomer, then Razorback. That's what I'm thinking off the top of my head. Just because Boomer we've done in 4 minutes, Buddy and Lucy we did in, I think, 4 minutes 43 or something. Weasel was like 6.5, 7 minutes. So you go into the raid, you take down the first room, you go through to Boomer. You'll learn some mechanics from the raid, you'll learn strategies and things. That's kind of a DPS check to make sure your gear's in check with the DPS ranges you need. But then you defeat Boomer, and you move on to Weasel. Then Weasel comes in. That's like a communication because you have to deal with the control panels either side of the plane. Whilst you have people with eye and stuff like that, you take down Ricochet and the other boss. I forget that one's name. Then Weasel comes into it. You all have to group up on one side of the plane or whatever, like do your strategy, but you all have to work together to take down Weasel. Then you go through to Buddy and Lucy. Different things come into play. And Buddy and Lucy is kind of just to see how the team works split up, which is also a factor during Weasel. But not only that, Buddy and Lucy have the mechanic that you can't just nuke one, then deal with the other. So Boomer is a DPS check, Weasel is like a teamwork communication sort of thing, Buddy and Lucy is precision, then Razorback is throwing them all in with extra mechanics. So I don't want you guys to go in the comments and say, oh, you're bitching, you're not good enough, get good, fucking scrub, kill yourself, all the rest of it. I'm not doing this video to complain. I just want to push my opinion out there on the raid, say that I don't like the final boss, because it's the final boss. You go through Boomer, everyone's getting stressed, people are going to drop in and out, like there's literally going to be people in and out of your group, but people will get past Boomer. You learn that Weasel's a little bit easier, so you get the mechanics down, the strategy down, you take down Weasel. Then you go through to Buddy and Lucy, same thing again. By the time you get to Razorback, you're going to be so, like, fatigued. Like, we've been literally on this game since the raid dropped, grinding and boss fighting every single day. But you get to Razorback and everyone has lost motivation, they've lost energy, they see how tough Razorback is, they're like, fuck this, I'm out. I'll farm the first 3 bosses, forget Razorback, don't care about completing the raid at this point, don't have enough keys to open the chest. The Eagle Bearer has a low drop chance as well as the chance of other exotics dropping off the bosses. But I'm not hating against the raid, I will complete it at some point, I'm still working on my build, I'm still going to go into the raid probably every single day working on Razorback, trying to perfect the strategy so that we can nail it and get it done. This video is just to warn you that things are going to go south, you're not going to have as much fun as you've had. Like, I know a lot of people still haven't even touched the raid, but for those of you that have been grinding, I know a lot of people are still stuck on Boomer. I've not heard too many people say they're stuck on Weasel or Buddy and Lucy. But when you get to Razorback, that's been the biggest problem ever since the launch of the raid. Taking down Razorback. And as I said, they're not decreasing difficulty. They're not balancing anything. They're not changing mechanics. They're keeping it as it is. So get your group together. Get grinding for solid builds. They have to be such a good build. I'm going to recommend that you need a minimum of 65-70% DTE. Like, damage to elites has to be high. Headshot damage doesn't matter too much, but obviously the higher you can get it, the better. But then there is some other things that might work within your group, like Rush Runner. I've seen that he uses a critical hit chance and damage build. So I would say you need a lot of DPS. Survivability doesn't come into it as much at this point. But there's a lot of wipe mechanics, so expect to wipe often. And eventually, if you're at this stage, you will get it done. Just don't give up, keep pushing at it. Yeah, you're going to have your complaints, your opinions, like I've just said. I think the final boss is horseshit. I don't like this raid because I'm at this point, but once I get Razorback down, once I've taken him out of the game, completed the raid, there's going to be so much, like, the feeling of accomplishment and actually feeling like what we've grinded for has come together and it's worked out and we've got it completed. So I'm going to leave the video there. Let me know what sort of builds you're running and stuff in the comments. And I would also like to know how much time you're spending. Have you taken Razorback down yet? What sort of boss are you on? Are you still stuck on Boomer? Because if there's people on Xbox that are stuck, I'll be happy to get a couple of people, like, because people were always in and out of my group. So I'll be happy to get a couple of people in. If you add me, let me know your gamer tags and stuff. Maybe me and my team can help you out. But Razorback is an arsehole. We will get him one day. But until then, that's the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.